Giving up, letting go, times where you might feel compelled, looking down from the heights that we have built all by.
So this is the review of the 9.7 iPad and why I think it is the best iPad right now. This is the long-term review of the 9.7 iPad. I've had this iPad for a long time right now. By the way, this is the best case for the iPad that I found. It has a triple cover kind of magnet system. I'm not sponsored by them, but this is the best case that I found, and I'll leave it in the link in the description below. I only use the case when I'm going outside. In the house, this iPad is never in the case because I'm very careful with my devices. I've never dropped it once. So if you're someone who drops your device, then you might need the case always, but I don't like the bulk of the case. So this thing is really good, even though that case is very light, but it's still, there is a bulk to any case. So the reason I got this iPad is I wanted a companion device for my MacBook Pro, and I wanted something which I could take to clients and show some project schematics, maybe some project diagrams. If sometimes I'm talking to engineers or I'm talking to plant erection people, I have to tell them this is how you do it, then I can just directly take up the schematics on this, I can show it to them, and that works. So that's the reason why I got this iPad. First, let's address the design. The design of this iPad is really good. That is a fact for most Apple devices. That's the reason why they sell. The display is really good. That's the primary reason I selected the iPad. The Android counterparts didn't have the same kind of quality display. If you're worried about the bezels, then don't be worried. The bezels are needed according to me, especially on a device this big, because you will be holding your screen if the bezels are smaller. So you need somewhere to put your hands. So that's why I'm happy with the bezels. I think they're going to screw up the next iPad with smaller bezels. That is a really bad move, Apple. On a device this big, you need some place to hold it. Otherwise, you're going to be touching the screen. Samsung has this issues with the edge screen. You're always touching the screen and doing things. It's really annoying. In terms of specs, if you look at it, this one has the 2 gigs of RAM and it has 128 gigs of storage, and it has the A10 Fusion chip. In terms of day-to-day usage and even playing heavy games, you won't have any problems. iOS is really optimized, and when you're jumping from Android, you will really enjoy the optimization. If you have not used iOS devices, you'll really enjoy the optimization. I'm not a Mac or Apple fanboy, so this is not from a fanboy perspective. This is from a pure usability kind of perspective. Yes, Apple does lock you a bit into the ecosystem. For example, it is really simple to transfer files from my Mac to this iPad, but if I have to transfer it from any of my Windows computers, it becomes a headache. So these are some of the problems. But if your primary usage of the iPad is just a device that you're going to do some internet browsing on, emails and some image viewing, then this is the best device out there. And I don't think you need the iPad Pro. This thing gives you a good enough experience that you don't need to shell out the extra bucks for the iPad Pro. If you compare this guy to the iPad Pro, the main difference is the screen. The other one has a laminate screen and a 120 Hz refresh rate screen. That to me didn't make much of a difference. The screen quality, the image quality on this is better than most Android tablet, and I didn't have any issues with it, so I didn't want to shell out that extra money just for some refresh rate, and which doesn't make any sense. The only time you see that difference is when you keep both iPads side by side, you will see a difference. But other than that, you don't find any difference. The best feature that I found of this iPad is the battery life. In my usage, I only have to charge it every 3 days or 4 days. Because my usage is very light, I only use it for certain specific apps like email and just browsing the web on random and just sharing photos, things like that. So at that time I'll get a better battery life. Even on heavy usage, it's very hard to kill this thing in a day. I've tried when I was traveling, I tried to game on this as playing PUBG and Asphalt 9, and it was very hard to kill the battery on this thing. If you have it at 100% charge, you will find it really hard to run it out in a day. So the battery life is excellent. The major benefit that I found is when I'm doing my main tasks on this device, my phone battery stays safe, because phones, for some reason, they still, Android phones at least, they keep on draining like there's no tomorrow. So that keeps my phone battery safe. In fact, I'd go so far as to say that right now I'm only using my phone for calling. I don't use it for much else, sometimes just for WhatsApp or things like that. But other than that, I don't use it, primarily just for calling, and that's it. Most of the other tasks have shifted to the iPad. So who is the iPad for? If you are a student who just wants a device which you can just use as a casual device, you don't want to bulk out with a laptop, then this makes sense for you. If you are a MacBook user and you want a companion device to take around all places, sometimes it's not possible to take your Mac everywhere. So for that reason, it will make a good sense for you. If you are a business user who wants to show certain designs to your clients, then this is the number one device for it, because the screen is the best in this price and even prices above it. I couldn't find an Android tablet that was as good in screen quality, in display quality, as the iPads. So that's the primary reason you would enjoy it. There is no lags. I didn't find any issues. What is the best feature according to me with the iPad 9.7? It is the battery life, that is bar none. I am really happy with the battery life. I was expecting to charge it every day or 2 days, but this thing can even last me a week if I don't touch it. So that's how good the battery life is. This thing went an entire week in one charge once when I was just using it intermittently for mails, and that's it. I didn't use the device for anything else. So that's how good the optimization is on this device, and I'm really happy with it. So that was my long-term experience of the iPad 9.7 128 GB in this gold version. If you have any comments, suggestions, questions, leave them in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe. This has been Jace for TopEvt. I'll see you in the next video.